Okay, imagine this for a second. You're settled in, maybe at your favorite coffee shop, or perhaps waiting for flight at the airport, visiting family, or even just relaxing in a hotel lobby. You pull out your tablet, maybe your phone, connect to the free Wi Fi. Seems harmless, right? Super convenient. But here's the chilling part. Someone just a few tables away, they could be watching every single move you make online, tracking your clicks, seeing what you search for, maybe even reading your private messages. And it actually gets far worse than that. A criminal, they might have deliberately set up a fake Wi Fi network, an evil twin, they call it, designed specifically to trick you. And they're not just watching, they're waiting to steal your bank details, your passwords, your actual identity. And they do it using a device they can just buy online for like $20. It's a really insidious threat kind of lurking right there in plain sight.
Yeah, that's absolutely not just some, hypothetical scenario. It's a critical point for everyone to grasp. Especially as you know, we focus on online security, particularly the challenges faced by seniors. This is vital. A recent report, it showed criminals doing exactly this at major airports, just preying on people who weren't suspecting anything. And here's the statistic that honestly is truly alarming. 40%. 40% of people surveyed have already had their personal information compromised while using public Wi-Fi. And we're not just talking about losing a little bit of data or some minor inconvenience. This can spiral fast into full-blown identity theft. It can lead to drained bank accounts and trigger this incredibly long, emotionally draining, stressful process to get control back. Control of your financial life and, ultimately your peace of mind. The stakes, they're just incredibly high.
Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we don't just scratch the surface, right? We really unpack these complex topics. We want to give you the essential, the actionable knowledge you need to stay safe, to stay well informed. And as you just heard, public Wi-Fi, yeah, it's convenient, no doubt. But it's often a really high-risk gamble with your most personal information. So today, we're diving headfirst into something loads of us do, every single day, often without a second thought: connecting to those free networks.
Yeah, and our mission today, it's crystal clear. We want to arm you, our listener, with the definitive insights and, most importantly, the practical steps you can take. How to navigate these digital waters safely. We'll expose the very real dangers lurking on these public Wi-Fi networks and give you clear, actionable strategies, things you can actually do to protect yourself, protect your finances, and that invaluable peace of mind. This deep dive, it's really about empowerment, turning that perceived risk into informed caution.
Exactly. And to do that, we've gathered some critical, really up-to-the-minute information. We looked at several trusted sources, including 60 Plus Club, Norton, and Forbes Advisor. We've carefully gone through their findings, synthesized them to bring you a really comprehensive understanding of the risks with public Wi-Fi, and crucially, how you can dramatically bolster your own safety. So get ready. We're going to bust some myths, some long-held beliefs, and hopefully heighten your digital awareness like never before. Okay, so let's start with why it's so tempting. The sheer allure, that magnetic pull of free Wi-Fi, we all love it, don't we? It's almost become an expectation, part of modern life. Whether you're in a bustling coffee shop or checking flight statuses at a busy airport, doing research at the library, maybe even in the car on a long trip, it feels like a lifesaver. You need to quickly check an email, maybe browse social media, see what the grandkids are up to, or make a quick call using an app like WhatsApp or FaceTime, connect with family. And our sources, they confirm just how widespread this is. Forbes Advisor, for instance, they highlight that nearly 60%, 60, of internet users worldwide have logged into their personal email on a public Wi-Fi network. That's not just a big number. That's a massive digital footprint being exposed.
And that very convenience, that ease of access, that's exactly what makes these networks so incredibly appealing to bad actors, to criminals. They're constantly looking for easy targets. And while, a recent Norton survey found that 43% of people think public Wi-Fi is somewhat safe, and surprisingly, 23% even think it's completely safe. The reality, unfortunately, it's starkly different. Here's the thing people often miss about public Wi-Fi. It's not just free, as in no cost. It's by default free in terms of security. Imagine like a digital town square. Everyone's conversations aren't just happening in the open, they're being shouted. And anyone with a cheap listening device, they can just transcribe every single word. That's pretty much the default state of most public networks. It's a fundamental design flaw, and it makes them a criminal's dream. It seems to stem from our perception, right, that free services are inherently safe. But in the digital world, free often comes with a hidden cost. Usually your privacy.
Okay, so let's look at where people are connecting most often. And then, maybe more importantly, where are these digital compromises actually happening? Our sources show everyday places like cafes and restaurants, where many of us stop for a quick bite or a coffee. They're tied with hotels. a staggering 38% for both as the top places people connect. Libraries follow pretty closely at 33%, and airports, they're also significant. Nearly a third of respondents use Wi-Fi there. Often during vulnerable times, right, when travelers might be looking up flight details or even sensitive passport info.
Yeah, and what's truly concerning here, and what we really want to highlight for you, is this profound disconnect between the perceived safety and the actual risk. For those people who reported having their security breached, 25% said it happened at a cafe, 23% at an airport, 20% at a hotel. These are the exact same locations people are using most often. This isn't just a coincidence. It reveals something critical. The places we think are safe or convenient just because they're familiar, they are, in reality, high-risk zones for digital compromise. Criminals know where the foot traffic is, they know where people let their guard down, and they set up their traps right there. People's perception of risk, it often just doesn't align with the actual reported incidents. And that's a gap, a really dangerous gap, we absolutely must close for your protection.
So this leads to the obvious question. What exactly makes these public Wi-Fi networks so inherently dangerous? Beyond just being open to everyone, our sources, they consistently point to a fundamental flaw. Many, maybe most, public Wi-Fi hotspots are simply unencrypted. So what does unencrypted actually mean, in practical terms, for someone just trying to check their email?
Right. When your data, your information, is sent across an unencrypted network, it means it's transmitted in what's called plain text. Essentially, it's not scrambled. It's not coded in any way. Think of it like sending a postcard versus sending a sealed locked envelope. Anyone intercepting that unencrypted data, whether it's your passwords, your bank details, even personal messages, they can read it as easily as scanning a barcode off a box. It's not just seeing it. It's instantly usable information for them. Clear, legible. That's why it's like a wide open invitation for cybercriminals to just snatch your valuable information right out of the air.
Okay, and here's where it gets really insidious, because it plays directly on our trust, our desire for convenience. Hackers, the bad actors here, they often create fake Wi-Fi networks, ones that look perfectly legitimate. They might use names that seem completely innocent, mimicking the real networks you'd expect to find, like free public Wi-Fi or coffee shop Wi-Fi, airport Wi-Fi, hotel guests. They know you're looking for easy access, so they make it seem obvious. They can even get really subtle about it. Swapping letters for numbers, like Novotel WFI guest instead of Novotel Wi-Fi guest. Or maybe free internet with a 1 instead of an I. It's a very clever form of digital camouflage. Makes it incredibly hard to tell the real one from the fake without a really keen eye.
Exactly. And this specific tactic, it's often called a malicious hotspot or a rogue access point. It truly is an evil twin, designed to trick you, the unsuspecting user, into connecting. Once you connect, thinking it's the real deal, believing you're just getting that free Wi-Fi. The hacker then has a direct, unobstructed view of all the information you send and receive through that connection. Remember that chilling scenario we started with? The criminal targeting Australian airports with a device they bought off eBay for just $20. That's precisely what they were likely doing, creating these fake networks, these evil twins, right there in plain sight. And this really highlights a critical insight. Even familiar, seemingly harmless network names can be a hacker's sophisticated trap. The convenience of auto-connect features on our phones, combined with our trust in known locations, that's a vulnerability criminals actively exploit. It's low cost, high reward for them.
Yeah, and to really drive this home, to illustrate how quickly one simple mistake can just snowball into a digital nightmare, let's look at the experience of John. He's a 65-year-old retiree. His story was highlighted by the 60-plus Club. John loved his local coffee shop. It was his quiet place. Read the news on his tablet, checked emails using what he thought was their free Wi-Fi. He felt completely safe there, creature of habit. One day, he goes through his usual routine, sees a network named Coffee Shop Free Wi-Fi, and connects. But unfortunately, unbeknownst to John, this wasn't the coffee shop's real network. It was a hacker's trap. An evil twin network set up by someone, let's call him Alex, who was just sitting a few tables away.
Right. And because John connected to Alex's fake network, Alex, the hacker, was able to see and intercept everything John did. And I mean everything. His personal emails, the login details for his bank account, even his social media passwords. And the consequences for John. They were swift and they were devastating. This single, seemingly innocent connection, it led to identity theft, resulted in unauthorized transactions draining John's bank account, completely emptied his savings. Then, his email account was compromised. Alex used it to send convincing phishing emails to John's entire contact list, spreading the attack further, tricking John's friends and family into clicking malicious links or giving up their own info. And then, Alex hijacked John's social media accounts, posted malicious links, scams, damaging John's reputation, his trust with his connections. This case study, it's not just a cautionary tale, it's a stark revelation. How quickly one decision, connecting to free Wi-Fi, can just unravel a person's entire digital life, their financial security. And for seniors, who often rely heavily on online banking, who cherish those digital connections with family, this kind of breach can be particularly devastating.
Yeah.
Immense distress, huge financial loss.
It's absolutely terrifying. A situation that started just by connecting to what looked like harmless free Wi-Fi. Joan had to immediately freeze his bank account, painstakingly contact all his online service providers, and then go through this lengthy, incredibly stressful, emotionally draining process. Took months to restore his identity, regain control of his accounts. It's a really clear, stark reminder of those hidden dangers, and it just underscores that critical insight. Convenience without caution can come at an extraordinary cost. Okay, now, another clever trick criminals use, often leveraging the open nature of public Wi-Fi, is something called a man-in-the-middle attack, or MITM. It sounds quite technical, doesn't it? But let's try and simplify it so you can really grasp how cunning it is. It's not quite like literally whispering a secret, is it? How does this digital eavesdropping and potential manipulation actually work?
Precisely. So imagine you're trying to have a private conversation with, say, your bank's website, or maybe buying something online. You think you're communicating directly with them, securely. But what if, without either you or the website knowing, someone secretly sits right between you two, in the middle? This person can then listen in on everything you say digitally, intercepting your messages. And not only that, they can even subtly change your words before they get to the website, or change the website's reply before it gets back to you, all without either of you realizing. This is fundamentally what happens in a man-in-the-middle attack online. The intruder, using sophisticated tools, positions themselves directly between your device and the online service you're trying to reach. They can intercept, eavesdrop on your entire communication stream, get full access to sensitive info being sent, credit card numbers, logins, personal messages. And what's even more alarming is that sometimes they can actively manipulate or alter the data being sent, which can lead to fraudulent activities. You might think you're securely interacting with your bank, maybe confirming a legitimate payment, but a criminal could be changing the destination account number or the amount right under your nose in real time.
Wow. And it's not just about stealing data directly through interception like that. Public Wi-Fi can also expose your devices to harmful software, often without any immediate signs. So for our listeners, it's not just like inviting strangers into your house. It's more like one of them sneaking in a digital virus. How does that happen?
That's a very good way to put it, yeah. Once a connection is established, especially on an unsecured public Wi-Fi network, bad actors can exploit existing vulnerabilities. Think of them like tiny cracks or weaknesses in your device's operating system or software. They can then silently install malicious programs onto your phone, your tablet, your laptop, without you even knowing. These can include things like spyware, which is designed to secretly steal your personal information, browsing habits, account details, or even ransomware. That's the one that locks you out of your own device, encrypts all your precious photos, documents, memories, and then demands money for their release. And in some of the more extreme and chilling cases, your device could even be silently turned into what's known as a DDoS zombie bot. The consequence for you: your device might slow down drastically, use up loads of data, and you'd unknowingly be participating in global cybercrime, becoming part of a larger network used to launch attacks against other systems, potentially even attracting unwanted attention from authorities, all without you ever realizing it.
Good grief. And then there's packet sniffing. It sounds a bit technical again, but it's more passive yet incredibly pervasive. This digital surveillance, it's not quite like literally sniffing, is it? How does this digital eavesdropping actually work? What kind of information is really at risk there?
You're right, it's not like sniffing in the usual sense, but the analogy works because it conveys this idea of just sort of indiscriminately gathering information floating around. Cybercriminals use specialized software, or sometimes even specific hardware devices, to eavesdrop on the Wi-Fi signals, the ones constantly flowing through the air in public spaces. See, your device breaks down all the data you send and receive into small chunks. They're called packets. What packet sniffers do is capture and analyze these packets. This technique lets them see virtually all your online activity that isn't encrypted. From the specific web pages you visit, any unsecure forms you fill out, to sensitive documents, private photos, or emails you send and receive. If the connection isn't secured with encryption, it's just a comprehensive invasion of your privacy, essentially giving them a complete readable record of your digital movements and communications on that network. It's truly like someone looking over your shoulder, but from a distance, without you ever noticing.
Okay, that's a truly sobering picture, isn't it, of the digital battlefield we navigate every day. It's easy to feel a bit overwhelmed, maybe even feel like these threats are just too big to handle. But here's the crucial shift we want to make now. While the risks are definitely real and substantial, the good news is your digital safety is largely within your control. So let's pivot now. Let's talk about the empowering, the practical steps our listeners can take, starting with what seems like the most basic, yet maybe the most overlooked defense. Just verification and caution.
Precisely. The first and arguably most crucial step, as emphasized by cybercrime detective Inspector Andrea Coleman, is simply to always be careful. Exercise informed skepticism. If you're unsure about a public Wi-Fi network, if anything feels even slightly off, always take a moment to verify. Check with the staff at the location. Ask them directly, what is the exact name of your official Wi-Fi network? Or, if you're out with a trusted friend or family member, just confirm with them before you connect. Don't rush into it. Don't just assume. And building on that, pay very close attention to the network names themselves. Look for official signage in the place that explicitly states the correct Wi-Fi name. Like we discussed, hackers use incredibly similar names, sometimes just swapping a letter for a number. For instance, if you're at a hotel called the Grand, make absolutely sure you're connecting to the Grand Hotel Wi-Fi as it's displayed on a sign, not the Grand Hotel Wi-Fi or maybe Grand Free Wi-Fi. And furthermore, a massive red flag. If a network claims to be free but suddenly asks you for personal details like logging in through your email or social media,
Legitimate, truly free public Wi-Fi shouldn't require that level of personal info just to connect. If that happens, disconnect immediately. It's almost certainly a trap.
Right. Now, this next tool is maybe the single most effective piece of tech in your arsenal when it comes protecting yourself on public Wi-Fi, a VPN. Virtual private network. So for our audience, some might find advanced tech a bit daunting. Can you simplify what a VPN is, why it's so incredibly important, and maybe what seniors should consider when thinking about one? Because frankly, that 40% stat you mentioned, 40% of people using them isn't nearly enough given the risks we've just outlined.
you're absolutely right. A VPN is a game changer. Honestly, think of a VPN like this. It creates a private encrypted tunnel between your device, your smartphone, tablet, laptop, whatever, and the internet. So instead of your data traveling openly across that public Wi-Fi network where anyone can intercept it, it's scrambled. It's sent through this secure tunnel. This makes all the data you send and receive completely unreadable to anyone trying to intercept it on that public Wi-Fi. Even if a hacker is on the same network, using all their fancy tools, they won't be able to decipher your information because it's thoroughly encrypted. It just looks like a jumble of meaningless characters to them. Now for seniors, yeah, the idea of setting up a VPN might sound complex. But many modern VPN services are incredibly user-friendly, almost like just installing any other app on your phone. When you're choosing one, look for reputable, usually paid services rather than the free ones. Free VPNs often come with hidden downsides, like data limits, slower speeds, or sometimes they even log your activity, which defeats the purpose. Reputable services, the ones Forbes Advisor highlights, they emphasize no-log policies.
Meaning they don't keep records of your online activity. You basically just download their app, log in, and click a button to connect. That's usually it. It might slow down your internet connection just a tiny bit, but the security benefits far, far outweigh that minor inconvenience. And that 40% statistic, it tells us awareness is growing, but way too many people are still exposed. This is truly your encrypted shield, your secret locked chamber before you go out onto the public internet.
So it really is like putting your digital self, all your private information, into a secret locked chamber before you even step out onto the public internet. It's an incredibly powerful layer of protection. If you don't already have one, or if you're not sure how to set it up, please don't hesitate. Ask a tech-savvy friend or a trusted family member to help you set one up. They can guide you through it. And there are many reputable, user-friendly VPN services out there that we really encourage you to explore. It's truly a game changer for your online security, especially when you're out and about relying on that public Wi-Fi. Okay, so beyond a VPN, there are some really smart browsing habits you should adopt. Common sense practices that will dramatically cut down your risk. This first one is maybe the simplest, but also the most crucial rule of thumb. Just don't do anything sensitive on public Wi-Fi. What exactly do we mean by sensitive activities, though?
Right. We mean anything that involves your finances, your identity, or highly personal information. So absolutely no online banking. Don't check your balance, make transfers, pay bills. None of that. No online shopping that requires you to put in your credit card details or other sensitive payment info. And no logging into highly personal accounts, like your email, so especially if it's tied to financial accounts, or your health portals, any investment accounts. The rule is simple. Save those activities for when you are at home. Connect it to your secure private network. It's usually perfectly fine for non-sensitive stuff, right? Looking up directions, streaming a video, browsing the news, checking the weather. That's generally okay. But when it comes to your money or your identity, the safest rule is just wait. Wait until you're on a trusted, secure network. The temporary convenience just isn't worth the potentially catastrophic risk.
That makes sense. Another really important habit for your safety, checking the website address itself. When you visit a website, always look for HTTPS at the very beginning of the web address, or look for that little padlock symbol in your browser's address bar. It's a very visual cue, but what does that S in that padlock actually tell us about the site we're visiting? Why is it so critical?
That S stands for secure. It indicates the data is encrypted using a technical term is SSL/TLS protocols. But basically it means the website is secure, and crucially, that your connection to it is encrypted. It's like having a locked door on your digital conversation with that website. If you only see HTTP without the S, it means the connection is unencrypted, like an unlocked door, and your traffic could be visible to anyone else on the network using those packet sniffing tools we talked about. And here is a critical warning, especially important for seniors to remember. If you expect to see an HTTPS site, like your bank's website or maybe an online store you trust, but it suddenly loads as HTTP while you're on public Wi-Fi, disconnect immediately. That's a very strong sign you might be connected to a rogue network, or that someone is attempting one of those man-in-the-middle attacks trying to intercept your data. Always look for that S in the padlock. It's simple, but it's a powerful indicator of security.
Got it. Okay, this next tip is crucial too, and it's about your device's own settings, things that are often just overlooked. Make sure you turn off the Connect automatically feature on your devices for Wi-Fi networks. It's often the default setting, right, for convenience, but it can be incredibly risky. And perhaps equally important, make sure file sharing is disabled on your laptop or computer. Why are these so important?
Right, turning off Connect automatically is vital, because it prevents your device from just blindly joining potentially fake or unsecured networks the moment it detects them. Without asking you first, your phone or laptop won't just jump onto any open network it finds, which significantly reduces your risk of connecting to one of those evil twins. And turning off file sharing is equally critical, and often forgotten. Because if it's enabled, it can inadvertently expose your folders, your files, to anyone else on the same public network. It gives hackers a direct pathway to your private information without your consent. Imagine someone walking into your home and instantly seeing all your personal documents just because you left a door open. That's kind of what it's like. These are simple settings changes, usually easy to find in your device's Wi-Fi or network settings. But they make a huge, huge difference in your security posture. Protect your privacy.
Right. Now let's talk about the foundational layers of security. For your individual devices, your online accounts, we talk about this often on the deep dive, but it always bears repeating because it's your first line of defense. Strengthen your passwords. Make each password unique for every single online account you have. And make them complex, a mix of uppercase, lowercase letters, numbers, special characters. And then, once you have these strong, unique passwords, use a password manager. For someone who maybe grew up using the same easy-to-remember password for everything, what's the real shift in mindset here?
The real shift in mindset, honestly for everyone, but maybe especially for seniors who might have fewer passwords or just prefer simplicity, is understanding the convenience in passwords. It can lead directly to catastrophic compromise. Strong, unique passwords are your absolute first line of defense against cybercriminals who use automated programs just trying to guess or crack common passwords all day long. Using the same password for everything is like having one key, and that one key opens your front door, your car, your bank vault, your safety deposit box. If a criminal gets that one key, everything is open to them. A password manager is an invaluable tool here, because it not only helps you create these complex, truly unique passwords, but it also stores them securely. So you don't have to try and remember dozens of complicated combinations yourself. It eliminates that burden memorization while vastly increasing your security. It prevents that devastating scenario where if one password for one account gets compromised, a hacker can then get into all your other accounts just because you reused the password. Think of it like a digital vault for all your different keys.
Okay, but even with a strong, unique password, if it gets intercepted on public Wi-Fi, you could still be vulnerable, right? It could still open the door for a bad actor. That's where two-factor authentication, or 2FA, comes in. So for our listeners, it's like adding another completely different kind of lock to your digital door, isn't it? What are some common examples of 2FA, and why should everyone really enable it wherever they can?
You've hit on a really key point there. 2FA adds this critical second layer of security to your online accounts that is incredibly difficult for criminals to bypass. Even if someone manages to get your password through, illicit means like Wi-Fi interception, they still cannot access your account without that second step. This usually involves something you have, like your smartphone, or something you are, like your fingerprint or your Face ID. Common examples include getting a unique time-sensitive code sent as an SMS text message to your registered smartphone, or using a dedicated authenticator app on your phone that generates codes, or even, fingerprint or facial recognition. It's exactly like having that first lock on your door and then adding a second completely different uncrackable lock that only you have the key to. Many online services now offer 2FA, banking, email, social media. We strongly recommend enabling it wherever it's available. It's a simple step usually, but it provides an immense boost to your digital defense. Makes it exponentially harder for cybercriminals to compromise your accounts, even if they somehow get your password.
Yeah, and it's so easy to ignore those little update notifications, isn't it? The ones that pop up on your phone or computer, we all do it. They feel like an annoyance interrupting what you're doing. But ignoring them, especially for your operating system like Windows or Mac OS or your web browser, it's like leaving your digital doors and windows wide open for anyone to just walk through.
That's a very apt way to put it. Promptly installing updates for your operating systems, your web browsers, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, whatever you use, and any security software you have, like antivirus programs. It's absolutely critical. These updates, they aren't just about adding new features or making things look prettier. Very often they include what are called patches for vulnerabilities. Essentially, they fix weaknesses or flaws in the software that cybercriminals absolutely love to exploit. Think of it as the manufacturer sending out a locksmith to fix a weak spot in your digital locks, proactively. Keeping everything up to date constantly bolsters your device's defenses against malware, against hacking attempts, makes it much harder for criminals to break in. It's just a fundamental habit for staying secure in what is, let's face it, a constantly evolving threat landscape.
And finally, having good antivirus software installed on your devices. It can act like a vigilant, ever-present guard for your digital life. Offers continuous, active protection. It's not a silver bullet, maybe, but it's a vital part of the overall strategy, right?
Absolutely. Antivirus software provides robust, active protection against various hacking attacks, insidious malware like spyware and ransomware, and a whole wide array of other online threats. This is especially important when you're using those less secure public Wi-Fi networks, as it can detect and block suspicious activity or files before they actually cause harm. It continuously scans for and neutralizes threats. It acts as an essential part of your comprehensive digital toolkit. Gives you a critical layer of defense that just works quietly in the background, keeping watch over your device and your valuable information.
Okay, so once you're done with your online activities, whether you're using a public computer or maybe your own device, there are a few post-connection best practices to remember. Always remember to log out of any accounts you accessed, especially if you're on a public computer, like at a library. And for your own device, once your session on public Wi-Fi is finished, there's a simple yet impactful step you should take.
Yeah, for your own device, it's incredibly wise to choose the forget the network option after your session ends. This prevents your device from automatically reconnecting to that same public Wi-Fi network later on, maybe without you realizing it. It minimizes the time it's potentially exposed to unsecured public Wi-Fi. It's a simple action, but it adds another layer of control. Furthermore, if you ever notice any unusual activity while you're connected to public Wi-Fi, maybe unexpected pop-ups start appearing, strange ads, your internet speed suddenly becomes incredibly slow for no reason, or your device just starts acting strangely, disconnect immediately, and then run a full scan on your device for any malware. Trust your gut feeling. If something feels off, it probably is. Being proactive like that can save you immense trouble down the line.
Phew. Okay, so let's quickly recap what we have unpacked today in this deep dive. Public Wi-Fi, yeah, incredibly convenient, but it carries significant, often hidden, and rapidly evolving risks. We've seen how it can lead to direct data theft through unencrypted connections, the insidious threat of those fake evil twin networks designed to mimic legitimate ones, the silent installation of malware that can turn your device into a DDoS zombie bot, which is terrifying, and sophisticated attacks like man-in-the-middle scenarios. Unfortunately, as our sources highlighted, many people are still unaware of these profound dangers, and far, far too many have already been compromised.
But the good news, and this is the important part, is that you, our listener, you are now equipped with powerful tools, essential knowledge to protect yourself. Remember, always verify network names, with staff, with official signage. Never just assume. Always use a VPN when on public Wi-Fi. It's your encrypted shield, your digital tunnel to safety. Avoid those sensitive activities like banking or online shopping on these networks. Save them for your secure home connection. Always look for HTTPS and that little padlock symbol on websites. It's your visual assurance of encryption. Adjust your device settings. Turn off automatic Wi-Fi connections, and definitely turn off file sharing. Use strong, unique passwords with a reliable password manager. And enable two-factor authentication for that absolutely indispensable second lock on your accounts. And critically, keep all your systems and software updated. Patch those vulnerabilities before criminals can exploit them. And for our senior listeners, a key takeaway really is, don't ever hesitate. Ask a trusted, tech-savvy friend or family member for help if you're unsure about any of these steps. Your digital safety is paramount. And these protections are often much easier to implement than you might think.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe consider this thought. In our increasingly connected world, our digital safety often hinges not on some grand, complex technological solution that's beyond our control, but on the simple, consistent practice of informed caution. It's about making conscious choices every single time you encounter that tempting, free Wi-Fi. It's about pausing just for a moment and asking yourself, is this convenience really worth the potential risk? The risk to my personal information, my hard-earned finances, my very identity, and my peace of mind.
Yeah, the convenience of public Wi-Fi is, without a doubt, a double-edged sword. But you now know the hidden, sharper side of that blade. And, more importantly, how to wield your shield effectively. So the question for you, our listener, is this. What one change will you make today, starting now, to strengthen your digital shield and protect your valuable information from these unseen yet very real threats? Your proactive steps today are truly your best defense for tomorrow.
Stay curious, stay safe, and please join us next time for another deep dive into the knowledge you need to be truly well-informed.
Until then, be vigilant and secure.